Hello all, good morning. Let's start today's session. Just for a recap, in the previous session, we have seen how to create a trial account and given some basic understanding on the terminology like what is tenant, what is instances, deployment and all. And we have seen how to create a trial account as well. And after creating a trial account, we have seen user interface, like what is the navigations and all, how the user interface looks like. So what is clouds and how to switch between the different clouds like sales, service and all. And these tabs, global search, and these are the icons, whatever we are able to see them in the front end, we have seen. And also we have gone through the setup page where it shows the object manager and what are the list of objects available in the database and all. So this is what we have seen in the yesterday's session. Today, let's try to have some knowledge on how to set up your instance. Once you have created a trial account, we need to set up some information like company information. What is the business hours? Whoever logging into the system, what is their business hours and what is the calendar and all. So let's see all this part in the today's session, along with try to understand how the Salesforce is operating their data storages and all. Right. So to get this information, now before to it, now yesterday, as we seen, once we created an instance, some space will be allocated to you in the database, right? So where I can see that database sizes and all. For that, you should be checking the setup here. Click on the setup. It will, you know how to log into the system, right? Login.salesforce.com and put your username and password. That will take you to your instance. And from there, click on setup. Here, this shows you the setup page. Here, click on storage, search for storage. So this is nothing but the quick find option. Here you could see the quick find search. So you no need to search here for the storage and all. Simply you can use this quick find to search the items from this list. So go for storage. Here it shows storage usage. Click on the storage usage here. So this will provide you the information like how much space you have been allotted in the Salesforce server. So it is the storage usage. So to understand the storage usage, so let's have the information or the knowledge on the storage here. So whatever the storage it was assigned to you, the storage is different, segregated into three different parts. One is for data storage, and the other one is for file storage and big object storage. So the total storage which is assigned for you, that will be divided into three parts. One is data, file, and big object. So what is this storage in the sense? Now let's say here we have some objects in the system. Like we have the account, contact, like files, leads. We have like different tables or objects in the database, right? So this account has some information and contacts has some data. So whatever the data you are having, that entire data will be stored in this particular space. Now let's say you have allocated with 50 GB of the space. So you are provided with 50 GB. Let's assume. So among 50 GB, the Salesforce will take care of segregating the sizes here. Now let's say for 10 GB it is allocated for data storage and 30 GB it is allocated for files and for another 10 GB for big object storage. So what is this data in the sense? This data is nothing but whatever the data we are having on the objects, the data will be placed, will be added, will be stored in this space. And if you want to upload any files to the object, so now let's say you are just handling the student information. So you want to upload the documents of student. Then those student information will be stored in this data. And whatever the supported files you are uploading, those files will be stored in this file storage. Right? And coming to the big object, now let's say while creating an object, you know that this object is going to consume more space. So usually like activity is one of the object which is available in the system. So now let's say what this activity will do in the sense. Now if you are making any phone call to the customer, or if you are creating an appointment with the customer, or you are just making some conversation with the customer, each and every activity will create a record there. So for one customer, at least per day, if you are interacting with 10 times, so for one customer, it will create 10 records there. So if you are dealing with thousands of customers, so you can assume like how much size it will going to consume, how much space it is going to consume by that particular object. So in that scenario, while creating an object itself, instead of creating a normal object, you will create it as a big object, so that those big objects will be assigned, will be allocated in this space. Got it? So this is how this entirely, we don't need to bother. This is taken care by the Salesforce. But in the backend, how the Salesforce is doing that, we need to have their knowledge on it. So just to give you an example on it, now let's say you have an account object. Account is an object which maintains the account information, like contact, lead, opportunity. We have some objects, right? So for this account, now let's say among 50 GB, now let's say 1 GB total account is assigned with 1 GB of space. Now let's say 1 GB was assigned to account. Only for account, the system has provided 1 GB for account. In the same way for contact, it is assigned 1 more GB, right? For the leads, it will assign 1 more GB. So this is how it will assign, the system will take care of assigning the spaces and all. So among this 1 GB, the system again bifurcate the things in such a way that for the data, it will allocate 500 MB or 250 MB. And for files, maybe remaining. So 1024 minus 250, right? So whatever it shows. So remaining MB is assigned to this particular file storage. So this type of segregation of file storage will be maintained by the Salesforce only. You don't need to bother about it. So the same pattern will be maintained by the system for all the tables in the system. So now let's suppose, so this account table, the data which already consumes 240 MB. Now the system will reallocate some space to this particular account object. So whatever the object consuming the more data space, that will be automatically, there will be some algorithm written by the Salesforce in the backend. That algorithm will keeps on adding the space or removing the space if you are not using the space for a long time for that table, for that object. This is taken care by the system only, right? Now, why I need to have this knowledge and this information in the sense? Now, when you are dealing with any real-time scenarios or with the clients and all, you should be taking care of the data space as well. Why? Because by end of the day, cost to company is very important. So every company will do some auditing by end of the financial year. So if they are required to delete any data, if they want to delete any data, so now let's say activity is one table which maintains all the transactions which we made with the customer, like we're making a phone call appointment or whatever. So after 1 year, now let's say I don't want to have that activities. So if I made a phone call to the customer, that log is maintained. That is not required for you after 1 year. That is not that much useful for you. Then you can simply delete the data only from the activity table, activity object. So the data space, the space will be freed up, right? So how you can do all these items? So if you have the, I mean to say, if you have the view on how the data storage is allocated and all, that is easy for us to maintain the data in a perfect way. And also you can get the information from the Salesforce here. Now, if you see here, now you can see the storage usage page. Now you can understand the information. Like whatever the space allocated to you, for the data storage, it is allocated 5 MB. For file storage, it is 20, and big object storage, it is like 1 lakh. So this is how whatever the storage we have, the system itself will segregate into 3 different parts. And if you see the below part, for opportunity table, it has 31 record count. It occupies 62 KB of size. And for the account, we have 13 records on the account. It occupies 26 KB. This is the total percentage of space allocated. So this is how it will show, like each and every table by table, it shows the information. And the same for file storage. If any files on it, like accounts and contacts doesn't have any file, so it shows no record there on account. Whereas on photos, we have like on photos object, we have two images or 2 files there. It shows 13 KB. And same way, currently there is no big object. So if you want to create a big object, you can create a big object, but there is no big object currently in the system. So it shows 0. Not only by object, so you can also see like which user consumes more space. So I mean to say here org form, these are the three users which is created by the system. So whatever the data we have, this data was created by the system users, right? So now org form epic is the user who uses 274 KB. That means in the real-time scenarios, the Salesforce able to generate the report which user has consumed more space, and I mean to say which user has added more data to the database. This type of information will also be able to fetch. Again, top users by file storage as well. This will give you a clear picture like how you are going to how the database and how the data storage is consuming by the different users or different objects. You will get this information at this storage usage, right? This is very important in the interview part. So there might be a question like how the Salesforce is going to organize the storage. To answer that, the data storage is segregated into three different parts. One is data storage, file storage, and big object storage. This is the final answer you should give to the interview. So the interview question is like the storage. What is the type of storage? And so you know what is the storage now. Now let's see how to set up the organization or instance. Once we created this instance, we have just created an instance. So once the instance is created, you need to set up some company information and all, right? Let's see how to set up those information and how to navigate to those options. So in the yesterday session I given, there is like two types of jobs. One is customizations and other one is configuration, right? So this customizations and configuration, now setting up of your organization information will comes under configuration part. Set up the organization. Setting the organization data will also comes under our configuration task. So once you are into a real-time projects, you will be assigned with some configuration or customization task. So whatever the company information or whatever the setup you are making, that everything comes under configuration things only. So to configure it, so whatever the configuration or customization, you should be in the setup page as you already aware. So in this quick find, just go search for company settings. So company, here you could see the company settings. This is the place where you can set up your organization data. What is your business hours? What is your calendar? What is your company information and all? Let's see one by one here. The business hours is nothing but you can set one new business hours. That means like what is your login time, what is your logout time, and from which time to which time you are going to work. So you are going to set up this business hour. So why this is required in the sense, this might be used in several scenarios. Now let's say you are just doing some email communications with the customer. So based upon the email communication, if any customer reaches you beyond your working hours. So with the automation techniques, you can trigger an email like you have reached out of my office hours in that way. So this business hours will be helpful if you set up this business hours to send an automation emails if any customer approaches in non-working hours, right? Not only that one, you can also have some control with the security concept. So if anyone trying to log into your application beyond this business hours, still you can able to restrict the user not to log in beyond your business hours. Usually in the banking tech field or any highly secured platforms, you can go with this option. If you set up this business hours, you can have control that even though he has the proper license, even though he has the proper security things and all, but still you can able to block the user not to log in beyond the business hours. You can set up the business hours here. Simply you can give the time and all, you can set up your business hours. And coming to the calendar settings, here you can have some public calendars and resources. Now let's say if you have any in the MNCs, you will have different conference rooms and all. So if your team wants to have some meeting in the conference room, so you can maintain all the resources here, like whatever the conference rooms or whatever the projectors or whatever the resources you have for the company, that you can make some calendars. And on the calendar, you can put what are the resources available so that any team would like to use that resource, they can simply book by using the calendars. So you can set up the information here. And coming to the company information. So this is what the trial account we have given the company name as YIT. And this is the information, primary contacts, you could say org form epic. in your trial account as well, you are able to see this part, this user. This is like system user, which the system user, whatever the data we have seen so far, that is created by the art form epic system user only. So this gives you basic information of your account, like usage data and file space, API from last 24 hours, how much API requests you have like, used and all. This is the edition, developer edition, and instance here you could see CAN96. So the Salesforce will maintain some clusters. Clusters is nothing but data centers, I could say. The data center, which data center, in which data center, in which cluster your instance were created. So that is Canadian 96. So this is your instance where you could see this instance from cluster details from this instance here. So this is your company's information. Just you can view your company's information. And data protection and policy, whenever you are going with any product, just you need to check the data policies. By default, it is like check only. So if it is data protection and privacy is enabled, that means just we are giving an confirmation or acknowledgement that we are following the data protection and privacy. That means by using this application, we are not going to share the customer information to the third party. This type of terms and conditions, you will have that information here. By default, the system itself will put the tick mark. And financial year, like when this financial year should start, whether it is from January or from April, you can set up your financial year here so that it will reflect the same in your reports. Now, if you want to, now you are going to do some business with the customer. So for every financial years, you want to make some summarized value. So what is the financial year? Based upon the financial year setup, you can get the reports accordingly. You can set the financial year here. And holidays again, if you want to set the holidays in your calendar, you can set this holidays so that your internal users can understand the holiday calendar. And language settings, which is important. Now let's say whatever the application you are seeing here, this is in English, right? So now let's say you are working for a BMW company again. The BMW supports throughout the globe. So this is not only from India, as you know, maybe US, maybe Japan, China, in different countries. Now the users from different companies, different countries may wants to use the application within their own language. So the Salesforce is a multilingual platform which supports different languages there. So in order to provide access to the users to use the application in their own language, as an administrator, you need to set up this language settings. So you need to enable end user languages so that the end user can access the Salesforce in their own languages. You need to enable it for both. So here you could see like different languages. You can see the Hindi and Telugu as well. So you could see all this information. You can see the Hindi, Urdu, and all these languages supported by the sales. Now, if you want to if you want to make these languages available to the user, here you could see available languages, and this is display languages. Now, if you want to add Hindi to it, just select the Hindi and put add here. So if you want to remove the Thai, just select remove it. So that now all the users who wants to use the Salesforce application in Hindi language, they can use the language. So whatever the languages is added in this displayed languages list, those languages can be used in order to access the Salesforce, right? So, but as an administrator, this is one-time job. So whatever the languages you have supported or allowed, those languages can be used by the different users. I mean to say, if I am a BMW employee, and there is one more employee who works for BMW from Japan. So if the Japan engineer wants to access the system in Japanese language, so here is the setting where your administrator need to set up this activity. And coming to the my domain here, this is whatever the domain or whatever the organization URL you have created, this is your domain. Normally your domain name is this one, and remaining my.salesforce.com is the domain suffix, which is happen for everyone. Now let's say you want to change your domain name. I am not good with this domain. So if I want to change the domain, you can also do that. Click on edit. So you can, this is my domain name. So I want to change the domain name, but dev-ed is mandatory. So here now let's say YIT 2025 November. So if I want to go with this domain, I need to check the availability for it. With the partition, here you could see YIT 2025 November, the domain is available. So you can go with this domain. You can click on save it. So it will, the domain will be provisioned after some time, after 3 to 4 minutes, you are able to log into the system by using this domain as well. So that means you are just renaming your domain, change your my domain URL. So once this is changed, you are able to log into the system. Here you could see Salesforce provisions your new domain. So once the process is done, here it shows once here it is provisioning in progress. Once everything is fine, you can from next time you can start using this domain. Both the domains will work. So that means that doesn't mean that if you are going with this domain, this is cancelled. No, you can see both the domains. So whenever you are clicking on login.salesforce.com, this will automatically take you to this domain. But if you want to log in by using this particular name, that is also possible. Let me put it somewhere so that we can use it later. So you can also log in by using this below one. So this is how you can set your domain. You can change your domain settings. Got it? This is what the company setting. This is simple only, self-explanatory. So whenever you are creating an instance, so in general, this is like one-time job, as you know, you will set up this domain information on. So now you know how to create a trial account and what is the UI introduction, like how to access the instance and all. And in the backend, we have seen the data storage and basic company setup. Now, what would be the next action? So we need to allow the users to log into this instance, right? So as I have created an instance here, like with the name as Yaksha IT. So now I want another user. One of my colleague also wants to use this instance. So then what to do? So you need to understand creation of user, right?
Bacterial infections, pneumonia, sexual transmitted diseases, infections, ears, lungs, sinus, skin, throat, etc.
Can you please mute? Create user. So you need to understand how to create an user. So to create an user, for creating a user, first we need to understand whatever the user you are creating, there is like three things which is mandatory. One is profile, one is role, and the other one is license. So for any user, if you want to provide access to the Salesforce, you should be providing the profile to the user and role to the user and license to the user. What is this in the sense? The profile is nothing but this is very important, which we are going to see in depth while discussing the security concept. So now I'm able to log into my instance and I'm able to access all the sales cloud or sales application. I'm able to interact with the contact information and I'm able to interact with accounts, leads or opportunities, data. So how I am able to do all this stuff. Why? Because I was associated with the system administrator profile. So if the profile is system administrator, that means I have like maximum privileges, maximum permissions to access the system. So this profile will decide which type of access that particular user is going to get. Now let's say I have like yesterday we are talking, we have like three types of users who will work in marketing, sales and service. So now the marketing user should have access only to the marketing cloud. Now how I can decide? So for this marketing user, I will just provide the profile which is related to the marketing module, marketing cloud, so that this user still it has the license. That user can have access to only the information related to the marketing profile. That I am going to control by using this profile concept. Now in the coming sessions, we are going to see in depth about the profile. But while creating the user, I'm just assigning some profile, existing profiles there. Based upon the profile I am assigning, that user is going to get the access to the system. And then what is role here? Role is nothing but your designation. So what is your designation in the system? Now let's say if you take an IT industry, junior consultant, senior consultant, team lead, manager. This is the hierarchy, right? That is your role in your company or designation, whatever. So here in Salesforce, we used to call it as role. So for marketing user, we will give a marketing role, sales role or salesperson, sales representative, sales manager, vice president of sales, head of the sales. So this is my roles available in Salesforce. If you want to create your own roles, you can also create your own roles. That is the role. And what is license? So, in order to access the Salesforce, you need to purchase some licenses, right? So at least one license should be assigned to the user. Then only the user can able to access your applications. So that doesn't mean that now let's say sales, service, and marketing. We have different clouds. You don't need to have purchase all the license. I mean, say you don't need to for a marketing user. You don't need to give the sales and service license as well. For the license as well, the Salesforce has segregated into different licenses. You can purchase only marketing license. So if you are purchasing only marketing license, only marketing cloud is available for the marketing users. So I don't want to give all the other two clouds to the marketing, right? Anyway, he is not going to use the sales and service as he is related to the marketing. So that's waste of my license. That's waste of my money. So to avoid this, Salesforce already provided some licenses where whatever it's required, you can purchase that license. But if you go with the license as Salesforce, as I said, if you go with the license as Salesforce, you are going to get full access to the system. So in the yesterday's session, I guess we have seen some licenses there. Here, if you go with the Salesforce license, this licensed user is going to get full access in the system. If you want to use, as I said, if you want to use for the platform related, I mean, if a force.com or developer console, you can go with the Salesforce platform in the same integration. The integration related, you have like different licenses there. So that means any user, if you want to create, you need to provide these three. These three are mandatory. Without providing any one of these, you can't create an user in the system. Let's see how to create an user. To create an user, again, what creation of user, as I said, it comes under configuration bucket. Creation of user is nothing but configuring the system. So maximum admin things, whatever the admin activities you are doing, that everything comes under configuration things only. So how to create an user? That should be in the setup page again. Search for user. And again, user is an object in the database which maintains user information. Got it? So this is like users. Click on users. These are the list of users already available in the system. These are like system users. And this one, YIT Yaksha, which I have created a trial account. This is my user, right? So if you want to create a new user, click on this new user. And you can provide your details. Now let's say I want to create the user SURESH and alias automatically fix like suresh@yit.com. So you can give some, this is like dummy email. If you can give some meaningful Gmail if you want. So username and nickname, everything is created. Now let's say company YIT. And if you want to go with some departments, now let's say he is to work in IT department. If it is division, you can go with it. So whatever the red color it shows, this is like mandatory fields. Without providing the values in the red color fields, you are not able to save the form. So red is required information. And this is what the three things which I mentioned. You need to provide at least one role, one license, and one profile to the user. So now let's say this Suresh is going to be my Eastern sales team. So he belongs to some sales team. Just I have selected some role to the user. And license here, there is like different licenses. As you know, there will be limited licenses for the trial account. Let me give the Salesforce license for the user Suresh. And coming to the profile. So these are the profile like contract manager, marketing profile, sales profile, support profile is nothing but your service profile, and marketing user. These are the different, by default, system has provided these many profiles. So if you want to create a profile, you can also create your own profiles with your own security levels. If you, whatever the security you want to provide, you can create your own profiles, your own roles as well. That we are going to see in the coming sessions. Now let's say I want to give the system administrator permission for the user Suresh. That means he can also do whatever activity he wants, as I am defining it as a system administrator with the highest license here. Got it? By default, it is active. And if I want to use the user only for the marketing, you can go with it. Flow user, you can go whatever it's required. So let me go with the mandatory fields first. And this is like regular. I mean, it's a normal. If you want to provide the mobile and individual mobile information, you can provide it. And this is your mailing address for the customer. sorry, for the user. So now if you see mailing address, whatever the country you are going to select, based upon the country you are selecting, we have set the language settings, right? So whatever the country, the user country, based upon the user country, you are able to log into your application with that language. I mean, so this is in the country address, you put the country here, local settings here. So now let's say, instead of Pacific Standard Los Angeles, if I take another time zone, and local language instead of local language instead of English, I go for Thai or some other language. So whatever the language you are providing for the user, that user may log into the application with that language. So previously in the company settings we have seen, right, like language settings as Hindi, Urdu, and all. So if you are setting language as Hindi for user Suresh, Suresh can able to see the system in Hindi. Now let's say I have set with the Japan, US. Now and the time zone as US and all. So for the user Suresh, not only time zone, the currency will also be reflected in dollars for the user Suresh. Why? Because I have set the local, the state, the country and all, like United States. So based upon the local settings, the value will be, the system will automatically convert into their time zone or their currency. Everything is automatically taken care of by the system and displayed accordingly. So now let's say how fixed an appointment today night at 9 p.m. IST. So if any user logs in from the US region and opens the same record, it shows in their time zone, right? That's how the system will automatically take care of the time zones and all. While creating the user itself, you need to set up your local settings. And in the interview perception, again, there might be two questions here. What is the difference between delegated approver and manager? So the manager is nothing but, here simply you are assigning some manager to the user. Now let's say Suresh is an user, as per the role hierarchy, one should report to his superior. So what is, who is the user here? The manager is nothing but your reporting person, right? And what is delegated approver? Delegated approver is not like manager, but you can also make the manager as delegated approver. But what is the meaning of delegated approver here is, you can get approvals from the user. I mean to say, in CRM applications, you may need to send some approval request. Now let's say marketing sales team generated a quotation to the customer, and customer replied back, I may expecting 5% or 10% discount. So now the sales agent should send an approval request to some user. So that some user is nothing but your delegated approver or your manager. So to get an approval, or if you are sending an approval, whoever approving that request is nothing but your delegated approver. So if I select any user here, now let's say I have only one user, so let me go with Yaksha IT. So now what will happen? Any approval request sent by this user Suresh, that approval request automatically will receive to the user Yaksha IT. Whatever the request sent by the Suresh, that request will receive for in his inbox. That is delegated approval. So to simply answer the question, delegated approver who can approve your request, as simple as that. Generate new password. No, I don't want to go with it. Save it. So this is how the user can be created. So it's already there, it seems. And OB 2025. So you are able to create a user. This is, as I said, the interview question like delegated approver. There is one more question, which is like regular question. The question is, here currently this user is active, right? So now I have provided the Salesforce license. So if you scroll down, here you could see okay. So here the question is, now let's say this user Suresh has left my organization. This user Suresh has left my organization after 1 year or 6 months. Then whether I need to delete, whether I am able to delete that user? No, you can't delete the user. You can simply uncheck, you can simply deactivate the user. We can deactivate the user, but we can't delete the user, right? So how to deactivate? Simply click on edit. You need to check as uncheck, save it. So this is how you can deactivate the user. So now the customer, the interviewer may ask the question, what is the difference between user deactivate and user freeze? So what is user deactivate and user freeze? So what will happen in terms of license? So this might be the question. So in the here, what will happen whenever you are deactivating the user, license will be removed and that license can be reused. Reuse it to other users. That means now let's say I have 5 licenses, 5 Salesforce license. One is for Yaksha IT, another is for SURESH. So 3 is remaining. Now this user SURESH was deactivated. Now the remaining licenses will be 4. So I can use 4 licenses still in the system. Why? Because I just deactivated. Now SURESH is not associated with the license. Then what is freeze? Now let's say SURESH going on a long leave, maybe on vacation. So he's not going to use the system for 1 month or 2 months. So still he is my employee, but he is not going for a work for 1 or 2 months. Then I'm going to freeze the user. I'm not deactivating it. I'm just freezing the account. So if I freeze the account, what will happen? License still with the user only, but the user cannot able to access the system. So even though it has the license, even though it has the roles, even though he has the profile, but still the user was not able to access the system. Why? Because the account was freeze. Whereas in deactivate, the license will be removed. Of course, he may also not able to access the system. That's the difference. What is like they will give like scenarios like my user went on a leave. So whether I want to deactivate the license or I want to freeze the license or freeze the user. The answer is you can go with freeze. How to do that one again? So here now let's say, let's go to the company information. You scroll down. Here you could see the user licenses. Currently we are talking about Salesforce. Now let's say total licenses for the trial account, it shows 4 and user license are 2. One is for org form epic and another is for Yaksha IT, right? Org form epic is the system user which consumes 1 license and the other user Yaksha IT which I'm using now, right? Now let me take a duplicate tab for it. Users. Suresh is the user. Click on edit and see like after assigning and let me reactivate the user here. On edit. So just I'm making activate. Save. So what is activate? So usually if I am activating it, so it consumes the license, right? So just currently it is 2. Let me refresh it. The user license is 3. That means if it is active, the license was consumed and remaining license is 1. So previously when it is deactivated, it shows 4, right? Now let me freeze it. I'm not deactivating the user, just I want to freeze. There is a freeze button here. Simply click on freeze. So now it shows the button is unfreeze. Now if you see the license, still the license remains 3 only, user license 3. That's what user deactivate and user freeze. If you are freezing the user, the license still with the user only, but even though the license is there, the user were not able to log into the system. That's what we need to remember. This is like 2 important questions, like I mean to say delegated approver, which we used to have the questions in the interview. What is delegated approver? What is like deactivate and what is freeze? They may not ask you directly about the freeze or deactivate. They will give some scenarios. I have an user, he is going on a vacation. I don't want the user to log into my application. So how you are going to have this functionality? So I can simply use the freeze button there. So that's what the freeze option which you can use. As per request, let me give the overview on in the Telugu aspect. సో ఈ రోజు మనము వచ్చేసి జస్ట్ ట్రైల్ అకౌంట్ క్రియేట్ చేసిన తర్వాత ట్రైల్ అకౌంట్ లో కంపెనీ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్, బిజినెస్ అవర్స్, క్యాలెండర్స్ ఇలాంటి బేసిక్ కంపెనీ సెట్టింగ్స్ ఎలా చేయాలన్నది మనం ట్రైల్ అకౌంట్ లో చూసాము. డొమైన్ నేమ్ కూడా రీనేమ్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. అది ఎలా చేయాలో మొత్తం కంపెనీ సెట్టింగ్స్లో మనం చూసాము. తర్వాత స్టోరేజ్ గురించి డిస్కస్ చేసాం. ఒకసారి మీరు Salesforceలో ఒక అకౌంట్ క్రియేట్ చేశారు అంటే అసలు ఎంత స్పేస్ వస్తుంది, ఎంత స్పేస్ క్రియేట్ అవుతుందో కూడా తెలుసుకోవాలి. యాజ్ ఏ డెవలపర్గా కానీ కన్సల్టెంట్గా కానీ దిస్ ఇస్ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఎందుకంటే మీరు ఒకసారి రియల్ టైమ్ ప్రాజెక్ట్స్లో ఉన్నప్పుడు లైక్ పెర్ఫార్మెన్స్ ఇష్యూస్ కానీ, లేటెన్సీ ఇష్యూస్ కానీ, కాస్ట్ టు కంప్లీట్ చాలా ఫ్యాక్టర్స్ మనం చూడాల్సి వస్తుంది. సో ఏదన్నా ఒక ఆబ్జెక్ట్ మీరు డేటాబేస్లో క్రియేట్ చేయాలి అంటే ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఎక్కువ డేటా కన్జ్యూమ్ చేసుకుంటుందా, లేకపోతే ఎలాంటి డేటా మెయింటైన్ అవుతుందా అని మనకు ముందే తెలిసి ఉంటుంది, రైట్? సో ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ లైక్ ఎక్కువ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ కన్జ్యూమ్ చేసే డేటాని ముందే మనకి ప్రెడిక్ట్ చేసినప్పుడు ఇన్స్టెడ్ ఆఫ్ గోయింగ్ విత్ నార్మల్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ కంటే బిగ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ అని క్రియేట్ చేస్తాం. సో అప్పుడు ఏమవుతుందంటే బిగ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ కోసం సపరేట్ స్పేస్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తుంది మన సిస్టమ్. ఆ సపరేట్ స్పేస్లో ఆ డేటా ఆ పర్టికులర్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్కి స్పేస్ అలొకేట్ చేస్తుంది. సో ఏదైతే స్టోరేజ్ ఉందో టోటల్ స్టోరేజ్లో ఇది 3 పార్ట్స్గా డివైడ్ చేస్తుందని చెప్పాను. ఒకటి డేటాకి, ఒకటి ఫైల్కి, ఒకటి బిగ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్. సో ఈ డేటాకి ఇది ఎవరు చేస్తారంటే దానికి ఒక అల్గారిథం, Salesforce అల్గారిథం అదే ఆటోమేటిక్గా బ్యాక్ ఎండ్లో రన్ అవుతూ ఉంటుంది. సో ఎన్ని మీరు ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ క్రియేట్ చేసినా ప్రతి ఆబ్జెక్ట్కి ఉన్న స్పేస్లో అది అలొకేట్ చేస్తూ వెళ్తుంది. సో నో లెట్స్ సే మీరు 2 ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ క్రియేట్ చేశారు. ఒక ఆబ్జెక్ట్లో ఎక్కువ డేటా పెడుతూ ఉన్నారు, సెకండ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ సరిగా వాడట్లేదు. సో ఈ ఫస్ట్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ డేటా మొత్తం అయిపోయే టైంకి ఈ సెకండ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ని తీసుకొని ఫస్ట్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్కి ఆ డేటా స్పేస్ని యాడ్ చేస్తుంది. ఇదంతా టేకెన్ కేర్ బై ద సిస్టమ్ అనమాట. సో ఇలా మీరు ప్రతి టేబుల్కి అజైన్ చేసే డేటాలో కొంత డేటాకి, కొంత ఫైల్కి అజైన్ చేస్తుంది. ఇది ఎవ్రీథింగ్ టేకెన్ కేర్ బై ద సిస్టమ్. ఈ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ మొత్తం ఎక్కడ చూడొచ్చు అంటే మనకి సెటప్ పేజ్లో అక్కడ డేటా స్టోరేజ్ అని సెర్చ్ చేస్తే అక్కడ మీకు ఏ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఎంత డేటా కన్జ్యూమ్ చేసింది కూడా ప్రాపర్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ మొత్తం వస్తుంది. మనం యూజర్స్ జనరల్గా మన ఫ్రంట్ ఎండ్ యూజర్స్ డేటా ఇన్సర్ట్ చేసినప్పుడు ఏ యూజర్ ఇన్సర్ట్ చేశారు, ఏ యూజర్ ఎంత పర్సెంటేజ్ డేటా ఇన్సర్ట్ చేశారు అన్న ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ కూడా మనకు దొరుకుతుంది. సో ఇక్కడ మనం కస్టమైజేషన్, కాన్ఫిగరేషన్ అని చూసాం కదా. ఈ అడ్మిన్ యాక్టివిటీస్ చేసేవన్నిటిని మనం ఆర్గనైజేషన్ సెటప్ డేటా కానీ ఇవన్నిటిని మనం కాన్ఫిగరేషన్ టాస్క్స్ కింద డీల్ చేస్తాం. తర్వాత యూజర్ సిస్టంలో యూజర్ని ఎలా క్రియేట్ చేయాలో చూసాం. ఒక యూజర్ని క్రియేట్ చేయాలంటే ఒక ప్రొఫైల్, ఒక రోల్, ఒక లైసెన్స్ అనేది మ్యాండేటరీ. సో ప్రొఫైల్ సెక్యూరిటీ డీల్ చేస్తుంది. మీరు ఇచ్చిన ప్రొఫైల్ని బట్టే ఆ యూజర్కి ఏ క్లౌడ్స్, ఏ యాక్సెస్ వస్తుంది అనేది డిసైడ్ అవుతుంది. ఆ పర్టికులర్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ మీద ఏం పర్మిషన్స్ ఉండాలో కూడా ప్రొఫైలే డిసైడ్ చేస్తుంది. రోల్ ఈజ్ నథింగ్ బట్ నార్మల్ డెసిగ్నేషన్. సో మీరు ఏ డెసిగ్నేషన్ అయితే ఆ యూజర్కి ఇవ్వాలనుకుంటున్నారో దాన్నే రోల్ అంటారు ఇక్కడ. సో రోల్ ఇక్కడ సిస్టంలో డిఫైన్ చేసిన రోల్సే ప్రొఫైల్సే కాదు, మనము ఓన్ ప్రొఫైల్స్ కానీ మన ఓన్ రోల్స్ కూడా మనం క్రియేట్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. లైసెన్సెస్ అంటే మనం ఆల్రెడీ చూసాం. సిస్టమ్ యాక్సెస్ కావాలంటే అట్లీస్ట్ ఒక లైసెన్స్ ఉండాలి. సో లైసెన్స్ బేస్ చేసుకొని ప్రొఫైల్స్ ఉంటాయి అన్నమాట. అండ్ సో మన తర్వాత యూజర్ క్రియేట్ చేసిన తర్వాత లైక్ ఒక ప్రొఫైల్, ఒక రోల్, ఒక లైసెన్స్ ఇచ్చిన తర్వాత ఆ యూజర్ని డీయాక్టివేట్ చేయాలంటే ఎలా చేయాలి, యూజర్ సిస్టంలో నుంచి యూజర్ని డిలీట్ చేయొచ్చా లేదా అంటే డిలీట్ చేయలేము, జస్ట్ డీయాక్టివేట్ చేయొచ్చు. డీయాక్టివేట్ చేస్తే యూజర్ డీటెయిల్స్ అలానే ఉంటాయి. లెట్స్ ఇప్పుడు నేను suresh@yit.com అని క్లిక్ చేశాను అనుకోండి, వేరే కంపెనీ వాళ్ళు అదే నేమ్ తోటి అదే దాంతో చేయలేరు. అఫ్ కోర్స్ ఎలా అయినా చేయలేరు అనుకోండి, ఎందుకంటే @YIT డొమైన్ అనేది నా డొమైన్. సో ఇప్పుడు TCS@TCS@Infosys ఎవరి డొమైన్ వాళ్ళకు ఉంటుంది. జనరల్గా ఓవర్లాప్ అవ్వదు, ఎందుకంటే డొమైన్స్ ఈస్ యూనిక్. సో అట్లా మీరు ఒకసారి ఒక మెయిల్ ఐడి, మీకు ఒకటి యూజర్ ఐడి క్రియేట్ అయింది అంటే ఆ యూజర్ ఐడిని డిలీట్ చేయలేరు. త్రూఅవుట్ ద Salesforce ఇట్ కంటిన్యూస్ అన్నమాట. సో జస్ట్ దాన్ని డీయాక్టివేట్ చేయగలరు. డీయాక్టివేట్ చేస్తే ఆ యూజర్కి ప్రొఫైల్ కానీ, రోల్స్ కానీ, లైసెన్స్ కానీ ఏమీ ఉండవు. సో అవన్నీ డీయాక్టివేట్ అయిపోతుంది. ద యూజర్ కెనాట్ లాగిన్ టు ద సిస్టమ్. లేదు టెంపరీగా నేను యాక్సెస్ బ్లాక్ చేయాలి, ఈ లైసెన్సెస్ ఏమి ఇవ్వద్దు అనుకుంటే మీరు జస్ట్ ఫ్రీజ్ ఆప్షన్కి వెళ్ళొచ్చు. సో ఒకటి గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవాల్సింది ఏంటంటే మీరు కొన్ని పర్మిషన్ సెట్ అనే కాన్సెప్ట్ ఉంది. పర్మిషన్స్ అనేది సెక్యూరిటీలో ఆ పర్మిషన్స్ ఏంటి అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఒక 10 యూజర్స్కి సేమ్ ప్రొఫైల్ ఇచ్చాం మనం. ఆ ప్రొఫైల్ మించిన ఎక్స్ట్రా పర్మిషన్స్ ఒక యూజర్కి ఇవ్వాలి అమాంగ్ దట్ 10. సో అక్కడ మనం పర్మిషన్ సెట్స్లో అవన్నీ డిఫైన్ చేస్తాం. ఇవన్నీ మనం ఇన్డెప్త్గా తర్వాత మాట్లాడదాం, జస్ట్ ఒక ఓవర్వ్యూ ఇవ్వడానికి. ఆ ప్రొఫైల్స్కి మించి ఎక్స్ట్రా పర్మిషన్ ఇవ్వాలంటే ఒక పర్మిషన్ సెట్ అనేది ఒకటి క్రియేట్ చేసుకుంటాం. ఆ పర్మిషన్ సెట్ని ఈ యూజర్కి ఇస్తాం. నా లెట్స్ సే ఈ యూజర్ని మనం డీయాక్టివేట్ చేసాం అనుకోండి, ఆ పర్మిషన్ సెట్స్ అన్ని రిమూవ్ అయిపోతాయి. లేదు ఆ యూజర్ని డీయాక్టివేట్ చేసిన మళ్ళీ యాక్టివేట్ చేయాలి నేను మళ్ళీ యాక్టివేట్ చేస్తే ఆ పర్మిషన్ సెట్స్ మీరు మళ్ళీ ఇవ్వాల్సి వస్తుంది. సో డీయాక్టివేట్ చేసిన యూజర్ని మళ్ళీ మీరు యాక్టివేట్ చేసినా సరే పర్మిషన్ సెట్స్ మీరు మళ్ళీ ఇవ్వాలి. సో ఏదైతే చేశారో మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి డీయాక్టివేట్ చేసి మళ్ళీ యాక్టివ్ చేశారంటే అది లైక్ డిఫాల్ట్ సెట్టింగ్స్కి వెళ్ళిపోతుంది అనమాట యూజర్. అదే ఫ్రీజ్ అనుకోండి, ఆ యూజర్కి ఆల్రెడీ కొన్ని పర్మిషన్ సెట్ ఇచ్చాం, మీరు ఫ్రీజ్ చేశారు. అన్ఫ్రీజ్ చేసినప్పుడు ఆ పర్మిషన్ సెట్స్ ఎక్కడికి పోవు. ఆ పర్మిషన్ సెట్స్ మళ్ళీ అప్లై అవుతాయి. సో అది చిన్న చేంజెస్ ఉంటాయి. ఇక్కడ మీకు ఇంటర్వ్యూలో కొంచెం కన్ఫ్యూజ్ చేసే ఛాన్స్ ఉంటుంది. సో మీరు ఒకసారి యూజర్ని క్రియేట్ చేసిన తర్వాత దాన్ని డీయాక్టివేట్ చేస్తే లైసెన్స్ కౌంట్ చూడండి. ఫ్రీజ్ చేస్తే లైసెన్స్ కౌంట్ చూడండి. ఎందుకంటే ఇలా మీరు యాక్టివిటీ చేసినప్పుడు యూ విల్ గెట్ మీకు గుర్తుండిపోతుంది. ఇంటర్వ్యూలో ఇలా ట్విస్ట్ చేసి అడిగినా ఇట్ ఈస్ ఈజీ ఫర్ యూ టు అండర్స్టాండ్. So this is what we have discussed in the today's session. So in the tomorrow session, in the next session, tomorrow is not able to take the session, not sure, we'll update you by end of the day. So in the tomorrow session, we are going to start this mini project. Here we are going to create an application like recruitment. So we are going to create an application recruitment here. So just the project explain chestanu. So a recruitment application మనం ఒకటి we just trying to create. And in this recruitment application, we are going to add all the concepts which you are going to learn. So let's say general recruiting process, right? So we have some candidates information. We already have some recruiters like HRs, and we have some skills. The HR is processing the candidature on so skills. So let's the consultancy agency, right? So how they handle the application, how they handle the customer candidate information with some automation process, sending an emails, auto emails and all these concepts with, we are just adding all these concepts in this mini project. So in the next session, we are going to create an application. So in the first day itself, we are going to create an application, and in that application, we are going to start implementing all the concept in the application. That's it from my end for today. After the session, I'm going to share the notes. I'm not sure yesterday I have shared the notes or not. We'll recheck. If I have not shared, I will share the yesterday's notes and today's notes in the group. Please go through the notes, and if you have any questions, please let me know. That's it from my end. Let me know if you have any questions.
No.
Okay, I will take this silence as no questions, and we'll wind up the session for today, and we will continue in the next session. I will update you whether I'm going to take the session tomorrow or not. We'll update you in the group. Thank you all.